Many provinces have seen a significant increase in the number of active COVID-19 cases as well as admissions to various hospitals. Many analysts are predicting the possibility of stringent restrictions around movement due to the second wave. Newzroom Afrika's Athi Mtongana speaks to the CEO of SA Tourism ahead of the President's address. Athi, a very good afternoon to you. What are the anticipations around what the President will be addressing tonight? Another sector that has been hit quite hard by COVID-19, that of tourism.
Certainly, Tammy, and of course, if you may recall that the Western Cape has a lot of people traveling to the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape also flagged as one of the hotspot areas for COVID-19, and as much as the Western Cape has also been flagged as one of the hotspot provinces in the country that is currently experiencing a resurgence of COVID-19 active cases. So interprovincial traveling will surely be something that the President might be speaking to this evening. However, I'm joined by Sisa Ntshona from SA Tourism. Sisa, interprovincial travel is something that's on everyone's mind right now. There was a time where people could not travel. A lot of jubilation when the President said, okay, let's open up, let's start traveling. But we saw that increased number of people testing positive, particularly those who were traveling between the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. Those are your agriculture sector workers. What are you expecting in that front?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I think first of all I don't want to speculate on what the President is going to say and some of the decisions they may make, but I think we just need to remind ourselves how we got here. South Africa is following what we call a risk-adjusted strategy. And as the risk changes, adjustments are made. And essentially, all right, there was a time that actually no provincial travel was allowed. When the risk came down, a decision was made to also adjust accordingly. Now we're seeing the opposite happening. And I think what lies then in front of the Presidents in the wider cabinet is choices around how to adjust in order to make sure we mitigate this. It can include a whole foray of things, right about from movement, identifying hotspots, and. So I really look forward to hearing tonight then, in terms of along those lines of policy thinking, what the plans will be from the President.
Just thinking back, Sisa, to the time when people were not allowed to travel and how that impacted the tourism industry. Well, internationally, of course, as well as in South Africa. I was just looking at some of the tourism attraction areas in this province alone, let alone other provinces. How was that?
It was absolutely devastating. Right now as we stand, domestic tourism is what we have to live with for the foreseeable future. But if you understand domestic tourism, it's essentially people from one province visiting other provinces. Gautengers visiting Limpopo, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, etc., etc. If that movement is not allowed, then you can imagine then those places just won't be able to get those numbers of where we're at. And that's what we experienced during the hard lockdown where no provincial travel was allowed. So it really is not ideal, but as I said, this pandemic is just shooting up in different ways that none of us could have anticipated. You look around the world at the moment, everyone's closed in. And unfortunately for us, we are in the middle of our second wave, and we have to take drastic action now in order to have a better success down the line.
Speaking about drastic actions, have you checked compliance in the tourism industry to check whether these hotels and all these other places that welcome tourists domestically and internationally are compliant to COVID-19 protocols?
Absolutely. So this takes two to tango. The first one is actually speaking to the industry itself. We have health and safety protocols, and we expect each and every single one of them to actually conform by it. But equally, and probably more important, is the consumer. The power lies with me and you, right? And we've got to be able to make informed decisions. If I walk into an establishment and the health and safety protocols are not adhered to, I've got the full right and responsibility to walk away. Let's vote with our wallets, as it were, and let's starve those places that are not adhering to the protocols and report them accordingly. So we want to manage it and on both sides, both from the establishment side, do the right thing, right, and also from the consumer side, vote with your wallet.
In terms of consequence management, what has been done when you find that, say, an establishment, for instance, does not comply to COVID-19 protocols, or there's something that they're missing, and as far as following them is concerned, what has been done in terms of consequence?
Sure. There's a couple of avenues to follow. First of all, tourism has a tourism ombudsman that people can reach to and report issues to as well. Secondly, as well, there's also the SAPS, who are there to enforce the laws of the country. And one of them is essentially around COVID protocols. So there are those various options. What we are seeing now and asking establishments to put up those posters in all the establishments so that you can see exactly what to do and what number to call should people be transgressing some of these rules.
Now, before I let you go, Sisa, again, your expectations, you don't want to, of course, preempt what the president will say, but your expectation as far as international travel is concerned, we know the minister held a briefing today, as well as domestic travel. What can you expect the president to say, especially keeping in mind that we're going through the second wave?
Sure. There are no easy choices here, and that's no easy decisions, right? We've got to ask ourselves, how did we get here? At some stage, we were on top of this pandemic and our numbers were coming down. Let's remind ourselves what it is that we did in order to do that. And this is the time now. And it's one of those where we've got to take some short-term pain in order to get some long-term sustainability. And I think that's probably key. There are no easy choices, and we just have to take direction from the presidency as and when he announces it.
If restrictions do come about in terms of domestic travel and interprovincial travel is concerned, how is that going to impact the industry on top of what the industry has already gone through?
Oh, absolutely. It'll be devastating. And that's, to me, is a direct consequence of establishments in the industry not following protocol, is that they put themselves at a bigger risk. So we all have to take co-responsibility of where we find ourselves. And that's the thing there, is that the tourism sector, we are in the business of moving people around. Once you don't have mobility, there is no tourism. And that's the hard reality that we're all facing.
Sisa Ntshona, I'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time. Well, Tammy, you heard it from the SA Tourism CEO, Sisa Ntshona, outlining what they're hoping President Cyril Ramaphosa will say this evening in as far as international travel is concerned, and of course, domestic travel and interprovincial travel is concerned. We'll all wait with bated breath, Tammy, for President Cyril Ramaphosa to address the nation tonight.
We certainly do. Thank you very much, Athi. That's our Athi Mtongana coming to us live from Cape Town.